confidence was boosted up and he was ready to go. So they blew their trumpets and set their swords toward their fellows, and the host fled. Then Gideon sent out messengers throughout all of Mount Ephraim, telling them to come down against the Midianites and take before them the waters unto Bethbara and Jordan. Then the men of Ephraim gathered together, and they took two of the princes of Midianites, Oreb and Zeb, and they slew them. And they brought the heads of the princes to Gideon on the other side of Jordan. And then they bickered with Gideon. He told them, well, God hath delivered to your hands the two princes. What has he done for me? So they was happy and they went on their way. So he came to Jordan and passed over with 300 men that was with him, pursuing the rest of the Midianites. And he said unto the men of Succoth, give, I pray you, loaves of bread unto the people that follow me, for they be faint. And he told me he's pursuing after Zebah and Zalmunna, the kings of Midian. And basically the men of Succoth was like, no. And then then he told them, he said, when the Lord hath delivered Zebah and Zalmunna in mine hand, I will tear your flesh with thorns and of the wilderness and with briars. Now you think about that. The Lord's using Gideon to deliver Israel. But yeah, he said that to them. When he gets them, he's gonna come tear their flesh with briars and thorns. And that dude was a bad dude. And people think if you serve the Lord, you're supposed to be peaceful. And it's all peace and all that. This man was a fighter. So then he went somewhere else. He went to Penuel and asked them likewise, for some bread and water. And they said the same thing. And he told them, when I will come again in peace, I'll break down this tower. Now, with him and 300 men, the two kings had about 15,000 men that was left. All that left out of the hosts of the children of the east, there fell about 120,000 that drew sword. So then they fled and pursued after them, and discomforted all the host. And he returned for battle as the sun came up. And he called a young man of Succoth and inquired him, describing to the princes of Succoth. So they went up, and he told them. And he basically reminded them what they said. And he took the elders of the city and thorns of the wilderness and briars with them, and he taught the men of Succoth. And he beat down the tower of Penuel and slew the men of the city. So then he had the men there, and he gassed his firstborn to kill them, the two kings, and he wouldn't do it. He was fearful because he was a youth. So then Gideon rose and slew the two kings, and took the ornaments that was on the camels' necks. So the men of Israel told him, asked him to rule over them, and told him his sons and his sons and his sons' sons, because they delivered them from the hand of Midian. And Gideon told him, I will not rule over you, neither shall my son rule over you, the Lord shall rule over you. And he told him to ask one request for him to take all the earrings for his prey. And they willingly gave them to him, and he made an ephod out of it. And he put it in the city, and all Israel went a whoring after it to worship it. And it became a snare to Gideon and to his house. And the country was quiet 40 years in the days of Gideon. And Jerubbaal, the son of Joash, which is Gideon, went and dwelt in his own house. He had 70 sons of his body begotten, for he had many wives. And his concubine that was in Shechem, Shechem. And she also bare a son, and his name was Abimelech. And Gideon died and was buried in his land. After he died, the children of Israel went whoring after Baalim again. And they remembered not the Lord their God, who delivered them out of the hands of all their enemies on every side. Neither they showed kindness to the house of Jerubbaal, which is Gideon, according to all the goodness which he showed Israel. Now the next chapter, chapter 9, is about his son, because he dwelt in another land, I guess far up in a different land from his brethren. And he came to his father's house, and wanted to reign over him, wanted to be king, wanted to be ruler. Abimelech. So they like, yeah, sure, he's family, why not? So he ruled over Shechem, I guess. I don't. They gave him money, and he went out. And he had vain people with him, and he went and killed all his brethren. And they made Abimelech king by the plain of the pillar, but his younger brother hid. So basically, he was king. And then, the Lord put a evil spirit between Abimelech and the men of Shechem, and they dealt treacherously with Abimelech. So basically, his brother's bloods was laid on him, which caused he slew him, and upon the men of Shechem, which aided him in killing his brethren. And basically, Gaal, the son of Abed, came with his brethren and went over to Shechem, and the men put their confidence in him. So basically, it's a big old civil war kind of deal, and then Abimelech died. And he was killed. Believe it or not, a lady was in the tower and cast out a millstone, and it broke his neck, and he died. I hit him in the head and crushed his skull open. So Gideon's family, I mean, you think about that. Gideon led. He's delivered Israel through God, of course, and then his sons, the next generation, his son kills his rest of his brethren, rule over him, and then he dies. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, and the thing that caught me was the ephod he made became a snare to him. So you have another judge after Abimelech died, Tola, the son of Puah, a man of Issachar. He ruled 23 years and died. And Jair rose up and judged Israel 22 years. He had 30 sons. That's a lot of kids. So then they did evil in the sight of the Lord again and served Baalim, the gods of the Zidon and Moab, the gods of Ammon, the gods of the Philistines, and forsook the Lord and served not him. So he sold them in the hands of the Philistines and of the children of Ammon, and they vexed and oppressed Israel 18 years. Israel cried unto the Lord, we have sinned against thee both because we have forsaken our God, and also served Baalim. And the Lord told him, did I not deliver you from the Egyptians, and from the Amorites, and from the children of Ammon, and from Philistines, the Zidonians also, and the Amalekites, and the Maonites did oppress you, and you cried unto me, and I delivered you out of their hands. Ye have forsaken me and served other gods. Go and cry unto the gods which ye have chosen, let them deliver you this time in the time of your tribulation. And they put away the strange gods and served the Lord, and his soul was grieved for the misery of Israel. So the people of the princes of Gilead said to each other, what man is he that will begin to fight against the children of Ammon? He shall be head over inhabitants of Gilead. Think about that. God told him, he's like, I've delivered you so many times and you still turn from me. Go ask them gods. Go ask them other gods that you serve to deliver you out of your time of tribulation. And that's a scary thing, because all we do is we turn to God, we turn from him, we turn to God, we turn from him. One day he's just like, heck with you, man. I mean, seriously. But, man, this is crazy. So you have Jephthah, a mighty man of valor. He was the son of a harlot. And they thrust him out because he was the son of a harlot. And they told him, you can't inherit in our father's house. You're a son of a strange woman. So he stayed in another land with vain men. So basically this dude was an outlaw. Man, think about that. God can use anybody. He used the son of a harlot. So then the people was being oppressed, and they ran to him. Come be our captain, that we may fight with the children of Ammon. And he told them, don't you hate me? And didn't you expel me out of my father's house? Why are you coming to me now in distress? And they told him, fight against them, and we'll make you head over our inhabitants of Gilead. So they made a pact that he'd be the head, so he let them. So he sent to the king of Ammon, asked him, why do you come against our land, fight us in the land and stuff? And he told him, because you took our land. And then they went through the whole deal of their going through the wilderness, and they didn't take their land and all that. And the Lord basically hardened their hearts where they wouldn't listen to him, and they wouldn't plead with each other, and they went to war. So the Spirit of the Lord came upon him. He vowed a vow to the Lord. He says, if thou shalt without fail deliver the children of Ammon into mine hands, then it shall be that whatsoever cometh forth of the doors of my house to meet me, when I return in peace from the children of Ammon, shall surely be the Lord's, and I will offer it up for a burnt offering. So the children of Ammon was delivered into his hands. He comes home. His daughter jumps out with timbrels to meet him and dancing. She was his only child. He saw her. He rent his clothes. He says, alas, my daughter, thou hast brought me very low, that thou art come to trouble me, for I have opened my mouth unto the Lord, and I cannot go back. And he said, told the Lord, whatever comes out of his house, he'd offer it up as a burnt offering. So guess why his daughter came out? Some people don't think he did it, but I do. He couldn't go back. I mean, he made a vow to the Lord. And that's the thing. People made vows. They was scared of what to say, because if they said something, they had to keep it. Because if they went back on their word, man, it was on them. And a lot of people today, they jump back on their word in a heartbeat. They don't know what it is to keep a vow. So she asked him a request to go and bewail her virginity for 2 months. And she went up on the mountains and bewailed her virginity for 2 months. And then when she returned to her father, who did with her according to his vow, which he had vowed, and she knew new man, for his custom in Israel. So basically, people say that he devoted her to the Lord, to the service of the tabernacle. She stayed a virgin for the rest of her life. Or he could have sacrificed her, because they did do human sacrifices in the Canaanites groups. So then the men of Ephraim came back again unto Jephthah, and asked him, why did you go fight and not call us? And he told him, we was a great strife with the children of Ammon, I called you, and you delivered me not out of their hands. And when I saw that you delivered me not, I put my life in my own hands and went after them. So then, they fought against each other. Jephthah and the men of Gilead fought against Ephraim. They overtook Ephraim, and they took their land and killed a bunch of people. They're about Okay, the Ephraimites that fell that day were 42,000. And then Jephthah judged Israel, and then he died. Isban rose up and judged Israel for 7 years. Elon rose up and judged Israel for 10 years. Abdon rose up and judged Israel for 8 years. I mean, it's crazy because this, I mean, civil war. They had civil war with each other. People surrounded them because they kept turning from the Lord. I mean, this is a rough book, but it's reality because people out there today, I mean, what makes us so different than the people that lived back then? So they did evil in the sight of the Lord again, and they was delivered to the hands of the Philistines for 40 years. There's a certain man and a woman, and his wife was barren. Angel told her to not drink no wine nor eat any unclean thing, because she's going to conceive a son, and no razor shall go to his head, and he's going to deliver him out of the hands of the Philistines. So the woman told her husband about the angel of God, and she told him what happened. So then the angel came back, and the husband saw him. Then they made a burnt offering up to the Lord. And basically when the fire went up, the angel went up with it. It was wild. So then she had a son, his name was Samson. The child grew, and the Lord blessed him. And the Spirit of the Lord began to move on him at times in the camp of Dan. He went down to Timnath and saw a woman there, a daughter of the Philistines. And he told his father and his mother he's seen a woman and he wants her. And they asked him, ain't there a woman of the tribes here that you want instead of an uncircumcised Philistine? And told him, get her for me, for she pleases me well. But they didn't know it was of the Lord that he sought an occasion against the Philistines. For that time the Philistines had dominion over Israel. So then he got her. So then Samson went down, and his father and his mother, to Timnath, and came to vineyards, and behold, a young lion roared against him, and the Spirit of God came on Samson, and he rent the lion as he would rent a kid. He killed him. He had nothing in his hands. He killed a lion with his bare hands. And after a time, he went down and talked to the woman. She pleased him and all that. So he returned and saw the carcass of the lion. There was a swarm of bees and honey in the carcass of the lion. And he took some honey in his hand and went on eating the carcass and gave them to his parents, but didn't tell them what happened or where he got the honey and about the lion and what happened with the lion. So his father went down to went down to the woman, and Samson made there a great feast. And he brought 30 companions with him. And he told him, he put forth a riddle and said, in 7 days, if you can't find it out, you got to give me 30 garments and 30 sheets. Or if you do figure it out, I'll give you the 30 garments, 30 sheets. And they gave him the riddle, and they couldn't figure it out. So he told his wife, entice your husband that we may find out the riddle, or we'll burn your father's house, and we'll burn you with fire. So she went before Samson and asked him the riddle, and he told her. And then she told the people, and they told him what the riddle was. And he told them, if you had not plowed with my heifer, you had not found out my riddle. Basically, if y'all wouldn't have kept messing with my wife and asking her to bother me, you wouldn't have found out. So the Spirit of the Lord came upon him. He went to Ashkelon and slew 30 of the men, and took their spoil, and gave change of garments unto them, which expounded the riddle. And his anger was kindled, and he went up to his father's house. But Samson's wife was given unto his companion, whom he had used as a friend. So basically, his wife was given to somebody else because he hated her. He was mad at her. And his father told him, I thought you hated her, so I gave her to your companion. Is not her